Our second speaker gave a contest speech last year called Control. Eric had asked for feedback on the speech, and as a result, tonight presents More Control. Help me welcome ATM Silver and CL, Eric Jacobson.
Some of you may remember that speech I gave with control your thinking, alter your thinking, and delete any negativity that you may have. A lot of people remember that. A lot of people were here. It went through the area contest as well. Most important part of giving a speech is the feedback. And I got a lot of feedback from that speech, and I'd sure like to share that with you right here and right now. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, important to have feedback, but it's more important to take that feedback and do something with it. A member wrote to me and asked, when was the first time I learned control? I wanted to share that. I learned control when I was almost 18 years old. I was living at home with my parents, and we went to sleep Thursday night with an odor in the house, and nobody could explain that odor. It smelled like something was burning. We didn't know what it was. Friday I went to work just as I ordinarily do. I got home about 2:30 in the afternoon to my neighbor screaming, "I just called the fire department. There's smoke coming out of your house." I went into the house to see my sister lying there, my sister Shelley, lying there asleep. I said, "Come on, we got to get out." I had to take control over that situation at my young age because there was nobody else older than me in the house. I walked up the alleyway to that house, and I see the flames starting to appear. And I'm thinking, where's my brother Danny? I yelled, "Danny, Danny!" No answer. As I was walking up the alleyway, I did hear a phone ring. It was at a time not when we had a phone on our belt buckle, but it was a time when it was stuck to the wall with a cord. I decided, because I was in control, that I had to go and pick up that phone, knowing in my heart, in my mind, that was my mom. "Mom, you've got to get home. The house is on fire. Do you know where Danny is?" "Danny's with me. I'll be home as quick as I can." Okay. Everybody out of the house. Fire department did what they had to do. But I had control of the situation at my young age because there was nobody there older than me. That was the first time that I learned control. It amazed me that I was able to just take that control at that age, and I'm glad I did. The next email that I received, this came through the area contest. Anthony said, "Can you share a time when control replaced fear?" I didn't know what that meant at first, and I've been holding on to this paper for over a year. Control replaced fear. Yeah. I was working for myself that time, 2011, and I had every right to stop and go working when I wanted to. I got a call from my mom. "Eric, I called Susan and she didn't answer the phone. Can you go over there and see what's going on?" I had to take control again. I went up to her apartment, knocked on the door. There's a big dog in that apartment. Beautiful, beautiful dog. Barking like crazy. "Susan, Susan!" I started yelling and banging on the door, no answer. Banging on the door, no answer. After about 5 times banging, there was silence. There was no more dog barking. Something was wrong. The newspaper was out front. Something was wrong. I went to the office to ask for the key so I can unlock the door. They wouldn't give it to me because I'm not on the list of tenants there. I had to call my dad and tell them that we had to get into the apartment, and we did just that. And Susan was asleep and never woke up again. But it was a situation where I had to take that control once again. Ironically, the same person that was going to marry her a week later ended up doing her eulogy. But that's another story for a different day. The truth is, we have to take control when we have to take control, and regardless of what goes on around us, it's up to us to do it. What was the longest time you remained in control? Was another question I received. And this was an easy one for me. This is my 11th anniversary with Weight Watchers. And I started out, there was a time in my life that I was 300 pounds. There was a time in my life when I wore size 50 pants and size 50 jacket. Good luck buying a suit off the shelf. But I had to do what I had to do. I took control over my weight. I took control over my health, pre-diabetic, and everything that goes along with being obese, including being unable to buy clothes in size 50 waist and 50 jacket. But I took control over it. At this point in my life, I'm down 150 pounds from there, but from 10 years ago, I'm down over 80 pounds. But it's constant. It's not just something that you can flick on and flick off. A program to change your life, to be in control, has got to be a lifelong program. And that's where I am today, in a lifelong program. It's not a diet, it's a way of life. I look at things differently than I used to look at things. I used to fear that scale. I would get on that scale, and I think maybe some of us here are guilty of it, and if we didn't like the number, we'd move the scale over a little bit, and if we didn't like the number, we'd move it back. Or if you had more than one scale, you tried that, whatever you had to do. But I got to thinking that I own the scale. The scale doesn't own me. And so whatever that number is, I move on with it. Whatever I have to do to maintain my weight is what I'm going to do. Why? Because I'm in control. Hopefully I've answered those questions that came up, and that we can all be in control without the fear of losing it. When we have to be in control, we do what we have to do. Mr. Toastmaster.